Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another She Says with Serena. I'm still your lovely host, Serena. Uh, Welcome to Mental Health Monday. Remember, if you're having a crisis, dial 911. This is not considered any kind of mental advice. I'm not a psychiatrist or a counselor. I'm just a girl who likes to talk. And tonight we're going to be talking about grief. So, if you've never had the loss of a loved one or anything like that, and you don't know, there are stages to grief. I'm just going to go over a quick little Google search that I did for the 5 stages of grief. First, there's denial and isolation. Then there's anger. I got stuck in that for a long time. There's bargaining. There's depression. And finally, there's acceptance. I think that the more people we lose, the easier it gets over time because we learn how to do it. The first time I felt a loss was when I was well, I mean, the first time I felt a loss, I was only 4, but I didn't really understand too much at that point. And then, the next major loss came in my life at 17 when my father shot himself, and when I say that I got stuck in that anger, I got stuck in that anger for years, and I had not fully finished grieving for my father and accepted that loss, before my son died. And when my son died, uh, I was stuck in bargaining. I was stuck in bargaining. What do I need to do so that I can make sure I can get to wherever he is so that I can see my son again? And it took me many, many years to get out of the bargaining and to reach acceptance. Thankfully, when my mom got sick, uh, she also was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And when she got sick, I had been through the loss of my father, and I had been through the loss of my son, so I was uh, a little rehearsed on what was happening. And my mom, being who she was, she spent the last 2.5 months of her life preparing me, and her husband and her mother. But she really spent that time talking to me, saying all the things that she needed to say so that there would be absolutely nothing left unsaid when she left this world. She spent a lot of that time talking to me about what her personal beliefs were, about what she thought was going to happen with her once she passed on, which was such a comfort to me that she had such core solid, don't you worry about me because I'm going to be just fine. And she did make me promise to not turn to the bottle because that was definitely a problem with me when I lost my son. Here's the thing. I had a lot of grief and experienced a lot of grief young for most people. I had already lost my dad and my son and my mom by the time I was 35 years old. So that's kind of young to have all that loss. But there's grief everywhere. There's suffering everywhere. You ever read about Buddhism and stuff like that, that's one of their core teachings is that, I mean, we just have to accept that suffering just is. Um, that's what grief is. It's just a type of suffering. And we choose how much we will allow ourselves to suffer. Now, with my son, I chose to stay in that grief for as long as I did. And I'll tell you why I did it. It's because I felt at that time, I felt like if I let go of that grief, I was letting go of the last piece of him that I had to hold on to. I didn't realize that by letting go of that grief, I was gonna be opening up this whole world where I could have a different kind of relationship with him. Now, when I say that, that's just my personal beliefs. Um, I do believe that we can continue to have relationships with, those of our loved ones who have passed. To me, it's no different than if, heaven forbid, something happened to somebody I love and they ended up in a vegetative state for the rest of their life. If they couldn't do anything other than lay there and be, um, I would still care for them, I would still love them, I would still talk to them, and so with my son and my mom and my father, I still care for them, and I still love them, and I still talk to them, and that helps me. I have other friends that do other things that help them. One of my favorite things that I've ever seen done, I have this girl that I've known forever. She's so sweet. I love her so much. When her daddy died, she took a picture of him and she stuck it on a Ken doll, and she took it on vacations with her, and her children took it around and stuff like that. That was such a good way to keep him included and part of their world and their everyday life. Um, for my son, throughout my acceptance period, I had an altar in my home that was dedicated to him with a coffin and everything, and people thought that it was really, really weird. But I found it to be extremely cathartic and helpful. It it made me feel good to have that close by, and I'm not sure why, but we don't really have to explain ourselves to other people. We're allowed to feel good however we're allowed to feel good, especially when we're grieving. So when you're grieving, as long as what you're doing isn't harming yourself or other people, if it's making you happy, do what makes you happy. If it's helping in some way, do what makes you happy. Write letters to your loved ones, talk to them. Please do not send them balloons up in the sky. That's not helpful. There are other ways of sending messages that aren't harmful to the environment or to the poor little birds that are just trying to fly around. So don't do that. But there are so many things that you can do to keep their memory alive. There are so many things that you can do to stay connected to them. Um, you don't have to stay stuck in the grief forever. Nor do you have to feel like you have to think about your loved one every single day for the rest of your life. It is completely okay for you to have days, for you to have weeks, for you to have months where you're just living your life and you're not stuck back in that grief. To not think about somebody doesn't mean that you're letting them go completely. It means that you're letting them go a little bit so that you can move on some. We can't stay stuck there forever. But please make sure that you feel what you need to feel for as long as you need to feel it. And don't let anybody else tell you how to grieve. You do what you need to do for you. Because remember, you are worthy. You guys have a great day. Well, it's night. You guys have a great night. Stay safe and peace. We'll see you next time on She Says with Serena. Bye.